All right, so now if you go into the set view top, and then you just control click to make a camera, then it will Cybertruck smoke tire. The Cybertruck, when he did the debut, it was when he was throwing the bowling balls and stuff at it, wasn't it? There was like some fog machines or something like that going on, right? He's throwing the shot put through the window or whatever. Oh man, they had the flamethrowers going. Electric motor goes brrr. Best presentation of the car ever. All right, yeah, so this, when you control click from the top view, you get an orthographic camera. So that just means that there's no perspective happening. It's like isometric or orthographic is kind of the same idea, two-dimensional pretty much. And then using this ortho width, this is like Houdini units. So I made my grid size was 10. So if you just want your camera resolution to match perfectly, you can just set that to 10 as well. And then sometimes you'll notice, like if you do spacebar G to get out of it, you're still in orthographic mode. You could just click this and hit perspective to go back. I don't know if it gives you a headache from, makes you dizzy or whatever, sometimes looking at through an orthographic view all the time. Yeah, so I don't know what the best way is to make these curves. The one reference RH2 sent was pretty... It's an interesting blend between different circles. Sometimes what I'll do is just scatter like a set of points. Create a little rig. I thought about doing something like that, but I didn't know how long solver was. Yeah, I was thinking about doing some stuff like that. I didn't know how long it would take to set up, but we could try to do something like that. So just maybe say that a box will be our car for right now. I think this, we'll try it like this and we'll just see what happens. I don't know, I don't want to get too lost in the sauce making just turn into making a whole crowd solver thing from scratch. So yeah, I mean so let me just go through this. Sometimes if I just need quick curves, we'll just do this to connect all the lines. And then if you resample things, you could set your edge length. And then if you do another resample, you can use this to interpolate things. Smooth or interpolating means that it will like go through the target anchor point perfectly, and subdivision is a smooth interpolation. So this, I don't know, maybe this would be okay for what we're after. I don't know, I don't want to waste, I feel like going through the other route, it might take me an hour or so to do that. So I might kind of do both of these. So if this is our car, this seems faster. I'll just do a hybrid approach maybe. So I'll set up a little car rig and move it along this curve over time. So we'll just do a single point, and then with the wrangle, I feel like just avoiding a solver will help us work a little bit more quickly. We have one day that is cool zone, maybe one day that is sauce zone. Tomorrow is kind of a sauce zone, right? With the Vex zone. But yeah, one day is just you just purposely get lost in the sauce of you're in a DOP network with 80 different gas, etc., nodes. So this we're just creating a single point, and then you can move it along the curve if you just do the prim UV expression. So this just returns any attribute from a primitive. So we'll do 1 to basically say this first index or the additional input. Been learning Houdini for about a year, but I'm still overcomplicating my setups and need forever to finish stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's even a year or 2 years in, 3 years in, I was still learning a lot of like optimizations and stuff like that. I think it just takes a lot of time and practice and going through everything. That's like just very difficult to learn with managing like time constraints with clients and knowing the best approach to get the best results. It just takes a really long time to learn all that. So PrimUV, we're going from the auxiliary input here, and we want to get the position attribute or the position on the primitive, and then you just give it primitive number. For this case, we just have one curve, so it will always be primitive number 0. And then the last argument is just a UV. So I'll just make a UV variable. So if we do uv.x equals 0.5, this will be halfway along the curve. And then we could also just do it using a channel CHF to just tell it your channel is going to be a float parameter. And this I'll just call it like dist. And then I'll just move my template flag. So this is just going to be this car's position. One thing you might be able to do, there's one thing that I think it was Rich Lord set up that he did constant bevels or something with his curves. There's some fancy algorithms and stuff you can do for that, but I might be able to just do some smoothing with I don't know. You might just have to try a new seed or something like that to get rid of this is like, I don't know, kind of unrealistic that a car would be able to turn that quickly. So this attribute blur is nice to do like kind of relaxation. And then we just want to copy the points, our box to our transforming vehicle, or the transforming point. So our vehicle to the point. Is it a difference when you do CH and CHF? I think both gives a float, right? Yeah, they both will. The default is to give a float. I'll usually do this just for kind of clarity or whatever. But yeah, if you'll get a float. Usually if you do CHI, you'll get an integer, CHRAMP and the other stuff. But yeah, I think it's just to be more verbose or whatever. I guess that's why I'm doing it that way. But yeah, you can always change them after the fact, or do it either way is good. So our box is moving along the curve, but it's not aligned with it or anything like that. So I think we can just do orient along curve. This will give you the attributes of up and n that are aligned to the curve. So you could do it right there, and then we just need to fetch or transfer kind of these attributes over as well. So we want to get the up. These I usually do indicate my data type, again, just to be more specific. So we're getting up, and then we also need to get the N. And then it looks like it's working. You kind of see what I was afraid of there with the... He's turning a bit too sharply. If we want to, we could offset the vehicle a little bit such that it's just changing the pivot. So with the vehicle, we kind of had it pivoting around the front tires a little bit more. So maybe something like that. And then this match size, I don't want to change X or Z, but I just want to use this. If you set it to min, then it will just take the geometry and move it above the ground plane. So now our car is sitting above the road points or whatever. Let's take a look. Maybe it's, I don't know, this is just, isn't going to affect the output, but just for visualization, we'll just make it shorter, and then this one will affect the output. So we want it to be somewhat like a car's dimensions. Donut rings? Yeah, that's what I was saying. I wasn't 100% sure what the best way was to get those. So because of this quick... Basically, I'm sticking with the... I'm going to stick with the composition kind of that we were going with before. So I'm working a little bit lazily or sloppily. Do some nested transforms with rotation points and trail them. Yeah, I think that might be possible. I'm not 100% sure. My brain is breaking. So let me take a look here. There's some other stuff that I've done. Welcome to the club. Need to press the button to deactivate my brain, reactivate it. But yeah, basically what I was saying is like, looking at this, I'm kind of sticking with this composition. It's not going to be too aerial of a perspective. So that's why I'm not super concerned, at least compositionally, like about seeing a lot of donut shapes. I don't know how much it will. I just want to see some stuff going on. But sometimes what I have done before is like, this would get into a more elaborate system, but basically, like I've sliced the curve in half in certain points and then inserted circles of different sizes into it. We could try just doing one of them and just seeing the workflow, and then we'll move forward maybe from there. Deepak, Rajan, so today we're advancing this. I'm building a setup right now to bake some skid mark textures. And then we're going to be adding some lighting, getting some cooler temperature light source in there, maybe from like a convenience store or a gas station or something like that. So yeah, one thing you can do is like So if you do another resample node, you just turn everything off. It won't change the topology or the output or anything. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, you can just turn this on. So all it's doing is adding the curve view attribute. It's just you could do the same thing maybe with a texture. If you do rows and columns, Umair, you're not too late. We're still just getting started. We're building a tire setup, so I have this little vehicle moving along the curve. We're just trying to add some donuts or something like that for right now. So this we'll just say is assign curve view, and nice rig. Yeah, we're just it's very quick and dirty kind of, but it's sometimes the simple setups are the best because they're like really easy to jump in and modify and build out for the circumstances you need. So I generally try to keep my stuff pretty kind of lightweight or whatever like that. But this one we're just going to do a curve view, and maybe I will actually use that rest position, and then a wrangle, and I'm going to set the position from the curve view. So now we just have this line is kind of normalized between 0 and 1. 0 and 1 position. And if you do a clip, now you can use this and know that you're cutting the line just by a specific position between 0 and 1. And then I usually set this to all primitives and then just do groups. So if I do a split, above plane, so the two portions of the curve are getting separated out like that. And if you want to visualize it, you could just do a swap. So we'll take the rest and put it back into the position attribute. So what we've done here is just separated the curve from whatever distance along the curve we want. So we have our first front half and then our back half because of this distance. So that's what we're going to start using. Then I'm going to insert a loop between basically these two halves that I just isolated out. So what I'll do is just do a blast points 0. I think I just need to do delete non-selected. I'm actually going to move it over to this one. So we have the front, the back, the first half, the second half, and then our midpoint. I might actually do this. I'm going to do it after the orient along curve, so I have those attributes to work with. And then I can just, I think I can just copy a circle here. And then I just want the circle to be ZX. And then again, just do the match size. And this way we can get, just set X to min, and then we could get it tangentially going along this stuff. Absolute beasts in this chat. Some wizards hanging out, some magicians. So now we have this, we're just going to say this is where our driver decided to split off and do a donut in this area. So instead of this being a primitive, we're going to want it to be a polygon. And then instead of closed, you just do open arc. And if he's not doing a full donut, you could flip it around or whatever. We might want it maybe instead of min. The other, I don't know if we're going to be able to support half donuts or whatever with this. But now we should be able to merge things. So the order here is really important, like the point order. Because we're going to reconnect everything, so we need to be careful about our point numbers. So we want the starting half of the curve, then the donut loop inserted, and then the last half of the curve. So now if I do an add, can do this to go delete all of the geometry, but just keep the points. So now we have our little connect the dots game. You do add again and connect them. It looks like my numbers got messed up here. What have I done? So we have this, and then this one, and then that one. Maybe I need to switch stuff around. I think it was right the first time, but I just needed to reverse one of them. So if you just do the sort, you can use this to reverse. You just need to set it to reverse. Maybe not that one. That one? Uh-oh. Oh no. Maybe it was both of them? Let me investigate this further. So this one's starting at 0, going up to 79. This one's starting at 0, going up to 12. So if we just merge these two, we're getting what we want for our donut type of thing. Might be this stuff at the end got jumbled up. I think sometimes when that happens, you just need to do sort by vertex order, and that will reorder the points to be going incrementally along the curve. Sometimes when you cut it and stuff like that, you need to do sort by vertex order just to fix the count. Aha, we did it. So if you want, you can add this in everywhere just to be sure that your sort is matching the vertex order of the points. And then we just probably want to do some of these same steps again to smooth out and fix the interpolation and spacing like that. Uh-oh. This is too big of a gap there. I think we're just over smoothing. So that's what we're saying is a donut. It's kind of lame, but we're working quickly. It might be good enough. And then I think, I don't know. Let me, what happened to my line? I guess I'm going too low. Frustrating my so what I'm going to do here is just shift C subnet and I think like if we wanted to build this out and do more donuts, it might be easy to do it with like a for loop. So we want to do for each number, and then this iterations would be like the number of donut stuff we're adding. I should be able to, I think, just to go like this. And then with this clip, we just want to do a random position based off of the iteration. And with this metadata, as a detail attribute, it will give you, oh no. Mark Allant from Side Effects only uses Vim editor. Is he human? There's one, I forget the name of it. There's some, I think it's a 3-letter Linux operating distribution that's just like text editor, and you like can switch between different workspaces or whatever. I've used Vim a grand total of 15 times. I used Vim enough to know how to get out of it, how to quit with the :Q or whatever. That's the only Vim command I know how to use. So if I just do a spreadsheet, I don't know why it's not showing me my detail attributes. Cooked outside if it's black. The hell is wrong with you, Houdini? Maybe I need to move the flag down there. Aha. Maybe that was it. I don't know. So you have iteration is just the number right here. That's what I usually use, is just iteration. Emacs, maybe pin? It might be. I don't remember it. It did look kind of enticing, but because like I'm using Houdini and a lot of stuff. I don't know if it was this one. I think this one looks a little bit more retro. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. What the who? Is there a Vim key binding in Wrangle nodes? Someone is making the Sublime syntax. The one thing I was using sometimes is this tmux, the terminal multiplexer. You want to be, maybe I forgot how to use it already. You want to be a hacker, you can do this. So you have all your windows and stuff set up. There it is. I'm hacking. So we want to get back to this, and I'm going to take a clip right here. The muscle memory kicks in. I'm going to use the clip here and just make a spare input. Then I'll just drag the iteration counter into there. So this will let me reference that detail attribute a little bit easier. And I can say detail, and then instead of typing the relative reference or full path here, you can just do -1. We're interested in the iteration number, or the iteration attribute. And 0, that's just in case this attribute would be a vector or would have more components than 0. So now these are going from 0 to 1, and then 2 is beyond, so we don't see it. But if I just do a random, then we're starting to get these things there randomly. You could keep building this out if you really wanted to and do like variations of these circles. But I think for right now, this is okay. Sometimes I think the blessed way of setting up these for loops, I think SideFX wants you to use the fetch input when you're bringing in other geometry sources. Because if you end up like compiling stuff, it just does a better job of seeing what is part of the for each network and what isn't, basically. If you want to get really fancy, sometimes I think you are mad. If you want to get really fancy, you can do control or the C button to bring up your color and do funky colors with the backdrop. So yeah, this is our donuts. And then we probably just want to do another, just reorient our curve attributes and pop it in. And let's see what happens. Senior for loop interior designer. So I think I might want to flip the point order of these around so that he carries through instead of banking, like flipping around right away. So with this input, I think I can just do a sort and do reverse. And then he's not like doing a 360 degree thing to start a loop or whatever. That's something. Maybe we could go back now and reduce. This is a very mathematical driver today. It's like driving like a compass, like the drawing tool or whatever. I think he's missing some of the other circles, right? What the hell is going on? Does anyone know you can do dynamics sim in the node network and make the nodes move around? I think with Hulai, someone was doing some node animations. But I've never gotten too into that kind of stuff. There's like more, I don't know, kind of shit posting or something like that. They're just trolling. But yeah, you can do a lot of funny stuff with the animations. And I think the one, I forget his name because it's all the like Cyrillic characters or whatever. The Russian guy who did the THUG Thug meetup. It would have been July maybe? Yeah, so I think somewhere in here, this guy I think has set up some of the dynamic sim, and then it moves nodes around or whatever to do the result. I think it was him. It might have been someone else. I'm not 100% sure. But I don't get too into that kind of stuff because it's like too much HackerMan's kind of nonsense for me. So yeah, I think somehow my other stuff isn't connecting properly. Maybe I want to feedback instead of merging each iteration. But I think the issue right now is that I'm making multiple curves. Because it's doing this process once and then it's doing another. It's nonsense for everyone. So I'm doing another I'm just making a curve for each donut loop that I'm adding. I think I want to change this to feedback. And maybe my... I don't know if it's... should still be getting some of these split unless it's using the same... Maybe up here. So I think those get set up automatically if you lay down the for each network as a feedback by default. So if you want a different result, you can add a number here. This is like the seed. How is your algebra and calculus knowledge? It's high school level. I don't know. I mean, I know a good amount of stuff from working with it for computer graphics, but I don't know like the Greek equations and the textbook terminology of it too much. But from working, just from doing programming and effects, I'm pretty experienced with like the I don't know, the process and the results and using the functions, but then the proofs and equations and stuff like that, I'm not as knowledgeable with those. The Greek bit. Yeah, I think in college I actually transferred into the performing arts. It was like their computer programming, or I switched out of computer science into computer animation because there was no math requirement. And so this guy got flipped upside down. Looks like maybe we need to do our up vector flipped around. Julian, how's it going? We're getting lost in the sauce. We're setting up some system here to make these tire tracks. 200 IQ. We're setting up a system here to make these tire tracks to bake out a texture. And then we're gonna move on with our rendering of the pyro burnout effects and stuff like that. So I think we're good. Might play around with some different results here. So I'm just visually looking to see what might result in like an interesting pattern or texture. If we wanted to go back to our orthographic camera, this is basically going to be the texture or whatever we're going to end up baking. Maybe something like this is somewhat interesting. Looks cool. Yeah. So instead of this, let's go back to perspective. I guess, so what I can do is just delete. No other Houdini users? Yeah, I think I was in a similar situation in college. I was just doing an independent study, and sometimes you can find people who do like character effects or character animation or just stuff like that, and like try to tell them to learn flips so they could add like a fluid simulation to their reel or something like that. Get people just doing certain parts of their process in Houdini, and then you can kind of partner up with some people and figure it out together. Preach the software of the gods. So I'm just deleting the bottom face of the box, and then this is going to basically be the tire points. So we can just do enumerate. So I'm going to use this to bake the point numbers into an attribute, or copy them into an attribute. So if we look at the spreadsheet, Houdini is left. If we look at the spreadsheet here, this enumerate node is just copying the point number into an attribute over here. I had to get an independent study class just for myself to learn Houdini and avoid a motion graphic class using After Effects. Yeah, I think that Houdini is a better knowledge to learn than After Effects, probably. After Effects, I learned some After Effects in college, but all of the plugins and stuff that I was learning like don't really exist anymore, or it's just you don't learn as much useful knowledge, I guess. I don't know. Some of the After Effects, like if you're just doing heavy animation, like motion design, it can be very useful skills, but a lot of times like when I was in it, I was just lazy and I was looking for interesting plugins, using them to make something cool and then just be like, look what I made, and like I didn't even really know what I was doing. So we'll do enumerate to store the index, and then I think I can just use a trail node to get the lines. 2D stuff is amazing with After Effects. 3D gets tricky. Yeah, I've seen some people make really cool, because it's kind of like when Flash stopped being updated, like a lot of those users went to After Effects, I guess, and they're just doing, you could even do like hand animation, cell animation style stuff or whatever almost. So with this trail, you can use this to make a copy of the previous frame, and then we just need animation here. So I think if I just do at time, or you could do $T. You ordered a tablet. You're ready to do your cell animation. So that time expression, it's a bit too fast. We just divide it by 8 or something like that. There he goes. He's off to the races. So this trail is just keeping previous copies of it. It's kind of like doing the onion skin stuff. If you go up here, they have didn't they add support for it? Onion skinning, yeah. But it's like the same idea as just making previous copies of stuff through time. So before I do the trail, I'm just going to do an add node that will delete the faces, but just keep the points. So this is our setup with 800 add stops to finish this. So the last thing we can do with this add is connect these points by group, and instead of using the actual point number, we want to use the attribute that we copied, that's index. And then I think with this trail, if you just set the trail length to $F or at frame, then it will make sure not to, it will just basically say keep everything previous of this current frame number. Love it. Yeah, this is the man who has to work and finish his effect in 1 hour's approach to the tire burnouts. You might want to do another resample if you want, like to fix some of those edges if you really want stuff to be smooth. Girlfriend doesn't want you at the computer anymore. You guys sorry, I don't give a shit. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow's the sauce day. Enjoy the time with your girlfriend. It's nice to get away from the computer sometimes. Should move the pivot of the box. I did move it a little bit, but I could offset it even more. So I did, I did scoot it back a little bit. Oof. The hell is going on? I snuck it in before you could snipe it. But let me, so I have it shifted back a little bit, but we could go even more. So if we look here, this is kind of where the pivot is. Maybe we want, you're going to attach the Lambo to the box. So right now I'm doing kind of a texture baking approach, like you're doing substance or something like that. Yeah, so I think scooting it back, we do get some more interesting shifting of the rear tires. So I have an orthographic camera set up, and I'm basically going to build strips out of these that will be just baking a texture image that you could use for any shader or stuff like that. So I'm not going to attach, you could attach the Lamborghini if we wanted to redo the effect, stylized light dress. Yeah, if you wanted to redo our entire simulation and stuff, like this could be a better setup for when I was doing it. I just keyframed animation, but you could do procedural animation of your vehicle and stuff. You already have a pretty, oops, get rid of that. We already have a pretty cool system here for your little driver mans. iTracks, yee. We got this guy. He just drank 2 gallons of Monster Energy, and there he goes. Quick playlist of the latest sim. The tire sim, or just the latest simulation I've done. I don't know where all my stuff went. There it is. All of the sims. You want to see? Uh-oh. Oh no. The entire directory. Just do rv/star. Instead of rm/star, you do rv/star. So I think I don't know which one would be. I think that was a different test. I don't know which one is the one we were using. It's kind of something like this, I think. Do a Pyro tutorial going through other microsolvers. One day I think I will. I might. One thing I was looking at was maybe practicing more with. Thank you. Yeah, this one isn't necessarily the current one that we're rendering, but it's kind of close. I still want to go back before I do like my final render of it. I want to go back and do a little bit more of the simulation. But yeah, I might be doing a Pyro tutorial at some point. I set up the. I don't know if I could go through all the microsolvers. You know how many there are? Where are they? Just a microsolver a day. It gets kind of confusing though, because some of them I don't think they even intend you to use with Pyro. The gas, air. So yeah, I have the second part of my sand grain tutorial is set to. I'm gonna release it on Monday. The rendering stage of things, and then I'll see what tutorial I'll start to accomplish next. But I think maybe doing The Sims opens dimensional portal to hell. So I think maybe doing Look at this. There it is. Scheduled. Will be released on Monday. So yeah, we'll see. With Pyro, I think would be a good one to do, and maybe even doing rendering of the smoke with Redshift. Then if you have a good graphics card, you can do simulations using OpenCL and renders using Redshift and get very quick, good-looking images, and like you're very close to working almost real time. Earth, water, earth, air, fire. That was as far as I made it in Hulai, and then after the first 4 days, I was destroyed. I had to give up. So we want to turn these into strips now, so that we can add a texture to them. I don't know what the best. Can't we have it tomorrow? Should I release it? I didn't know, like. Do you think you do numbers on the weekend, or you need to wait till I was thinking about it. I didn't know if the upload's too fast, people may not watch it. Yeah, my plan was that I uploaded the just the short one, but I uploaded the end results to give this a few days for people to look at it and get interested in it. And then one day, Monday, the final one will come out. I don't know. Got to keep the stonks going up. You got to keep the business. I don't really like to think about the marketing side of things, but I feel like you kind of have to at a certain point. I don't know. I need a businessman. Too much knowledge. So we need to convert these into strips somehow. I don't know what the best approach is. I've tried other different ways of doing it. You just need to put it in the Facebook group. I did put the first one I made. I put that in the Facebook group. Copy line. Yeah, I was thinking about that. That's a good one. Face one. That's basically the only reason I have a Facebook account still, is so I can post in that group. But you're talking about the Houdini artists group. This one. Not everyone has Facebook. Yeah, I mean, I post it on OddForce. I post it on the Side Effects forum. I post it on Reddit. I post it here. I don't know where. I post it on Twitter. I try to post it everywhere. There might be if there's a different Facebook group, let me know and I'll put it there as well. Tumblr, TikTok, Slack. Hack into everyone's Slack channel and spam it there. Yeah, so I think I did do the Discord server, just the Think Procedural one. There was like an announcement of Pornhub. There was an announcement. We could do, Eric Ferguson could start releasing his tutorials on Pornhub. But yeah, I posted it on the Think Procedural Discord, just in their announcements or promote. I think they have a promote channel, but maybe I should spam it in the effects or rendering, like whatever relevant channel it is, more people would see it. I doubt people are logging into Discord being like, let me see what the latest promotions are, and scrolling through that channel. I'm sure Saul will publish it via the Redshift community. Yeah, I think I did put it in the title. Yeah, even the thumbnail image and stuff, I typed it out. It's a good marketing tip. So yeah, we're gonna switch over now and do some actual curves. So this one we're copying the vehicle here, and I think instead of this step, this is good to have to visualize the lines, but we can copy little curves to the tires, or little lines to the tires. So this will be like the thickness. Let me just go back to perspective. Yeah, so these are going to be the width of the tires, and let me see what's happening. We might want to do another polyframe to get the edge orientations. I don't know if we want to do that. We might just want to create them before. I'll just make an attribute right here. I think we can do it. Just normal n and 3 normal, and we'll say positive z, the direction he's driving in. So now we can do, instead of up, that, and I think if we just do match size, this is the lazy. I used to do this with expressions and stuff, but as I've gotten lazier with my typing, I just use this match size all the time to basically snap stuff to the origin. Or you could do other stuff with the min to set it above. But yeah, it looks like we went the wrong way. So instead of x, or instead of z, we want to do x. So now we have that. Now we have tires. Looks pretty cool. It's like, oh dear. Yeah, this is like an interesting design or something. So I think we want to do one of these in a for loop to skin them or to sweep them separately. Psychopathic farmer. There's someone got on the tractor after drinking too much of the Red Bulls. But yeah, we already have this enumerate attribute that's storing the point number, but I think it's still on here. But I think we want to promote it to primitive to run a for loop over it individually. So you can just do index from point to primitive, and sometimes I'll keep it on both elements. The Signs, that was a pretty good movie. Who's it? Tom Hanks was the dad in it. Or each, I think you want to do named primitive, and the piece will be index. But now we can isolate each tire. I think you can do sweep, or I think you can even just do skin. I don't know what happened here. William Wallace. That was the father of in the movie? I thought it was Tom Hanks or someone. Mel, I think it was. Is it William Wallace? Mel Gibson. So it might just be that our curves, he's moving too fast. William Wallace is the character from Braveheart. They do look very, they all look, all of those guys from that era, even Tom Hanks, I don't know, they all kind of blend together in my head for some reason. So I think the issue is that sometimes our curves are too spaced out, so they're not staying stuck long enough. But I think you can reduce the trail increment. I don't know if this is the issue. I guess theoretically his tires would be spinning, so that we're not getting them lined up properly. We laugh, but for some reason, for many years, I thought Mel Gibson is the same versus Bruce Willis. Should run a for each over the final trail lengths and copy lines to those points so that they're equally spaced out. One has hair, the other does. Well, I'm thinking. Whoops. So I'm thinking like this normal attribute of the vehicle should kind of be blending a little bit between the curve's normal direction and the vehicle direction. Oh, so one thing I was forgetting to add here was with this, when you change the trail increment, if you copy this and divide the frame number by the increment, then you'll get the full resolution, the full length of the curves. Is that what you were, or you're talking about a different spacing? Let me investigate this. So with this direction here, this is to just extrude the original splines sideways. You can do that. It's not as, we could try it and see what happens. They're going to be offset a little bit because it's going to be or copy lines to those points. Yeah, maybe that's better. Let's give it a try. Whoa. So this is the difference between the two. You need Oriental on curve. Yes, I'm thinking like right now this is using the because this normal attribute is set forward and then that's getting moved by this oriental uncurve. Let me see what happens. I'll just do it again. Yeah, so this, I guess as they were getting displaced from the original curve, that was what causes the artifact. I think this is correct, right? Let me see what happens if we just do it over here. Didn't change this result. I need to recache this. No? Alright, we'll just work over here. So I think I can do the same steps. Now we're pretty good. So sweet. We're nearly there. We just need attributes now for UVs essentially. So with the lengths of these curves, we can steal the, was it over here? Might be inside of this. I'll just do it again. So with another resample, we can use this to recalculate the curve view attribute. So the curve view is the 0 to 1 distance along the curve. I think we want to do it before we trail. Wait. Yeah. Right? Or maybe not. Because this one is... Oh dear. Getting into a mess. I think we're okay. Let me just keep working this way. So curve view, we're assigning it here. Then we should still have it after we copy to points. And I just want to start visualizing it. At the bottom here, I can just set the color from curve view. So now each of these curves has a 0 to 1 value for the length of them. So that's U, like our U of the UV attribute, and then we just need the V coordinate, or going from 0 to 1 across the length of the tire. And I'll usually do that just on these source lines. So if you just set one to 0 and the other to 1, you should be good to go. So I can just make another attribute. We'll say this is curve V. So we have curve U, and this one will be curve V. And if you say your group is point number 0, and set this to 0, but make the default 1, then you can do it in one go. So for point number 0, it will set it to 0, but then everything else, it will set it to 1. So if I just look again with cd.y, yeah, I'm gonna get, that will be the last step, yeah. So if we visualize this here, we have our funky disco colors. You set Z to 0, you'll have something that looks more like typical. typical UV attributes or UV coordinates that you're used to seeing. Yeah, and then if we just do UV, maybe this, make sure it's a vector, with the set, we could do curve U, curve V, and 0. So if we want to get rid of the visualization, you can just delete it. And then if we look at a quick shade, we have our grid. It's super stretched out now, because it's just a single grid getting stretched the entire length of everything. You could do your UV transform either here, or maybe it makes more sense to do it with the UV transform SOP. So then if we just scale this super high, then you can see what I'm doing is just stretching the tire texture. And then with this quick shade, instead of getting the grid, I have my tire, generic tire bump. It looks like we went the wrong way. So we just need to switch this swizzle. So we just do this to switch the order, put the X component into Y and the Y component into X. And then I think our scale just needs to be going the other way. We broke it. It's a stupid mistake of mine. You caught it, Steve. So now we're pretty much good to go. The swizzle, yeah, I think that's what it's called. Like I've seen people doing GLSL programming and HLSL shading language. But yeah, if you do VOP as well, you'll see they have the swizzle. Swizzle. But it doesn't look as fun doing it this way. But it's the same idea, essentially. So if you want to fix this little part, I think we can just go up to the resample here and increase these divisions. You could just start to name some of these. More meaningful, I don't know, as you go back and reuse this or build it out more, you can clean it up and keep it more reusable or understandable. The bottom 4 points of the car to different Y heights. For what I'm doing here, I'm assuming kind of a flat surface, but if you had a different terrain, oh yeah, with the Z fighting, if you want to, that would be a good way to fix it. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not happening. With the shader I'm going to use, it's going to be like a constant accumulative shader. So it should be okay. But yeah, if you want to fix, I was noticing it a little bit here, the Z fighting. So if you want to fix that, I think you can just do like at p.y plus equals random number based off of the primitive number. It might not work right here. I'll just set it up. So a random number based off of the primitive number. Then we have a massive mistake. I don't think we could do... I guess we could do Y based off of curve U and shrink it way down. What I was going to do was do a soup right here, so that now each of these are the same. Scale it down. Yeah, so I was just going through this, but so this soup will make it unique for each curve now. Basically, each connected 3D connected geometry, or each index number. I guess I could have done this index number as well. But yeah, and then just scale it down. Really big number. You guys ever do that with the code? The variable, really big number, really small number. Just like that, the epsilon or something. But yeah, that will fix. I might have made it too small. Maybe it is Houdini. So I think if you update your clipping planes, your near and far clipping planes, it will fix it as well. Oof. Oh, so if the same, I think Steve's method was better actually. So if the same curve is going over itself, it's going to have that issue. I guess you could always do both of them as well. Retracted. Yes, and I think we fixed it now. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could maybe bake this just using the viewport. Just get it looking nice. Yeah, I don't know. If you did something kind of like this, then they're kind of overlapping, but we don't want it like additive like that. But yeah, we could start, I think, going into the texture baking stage of things. I'll just save this. Folder for today. We're in the 808 day. The best 808 sound sample is the wood block clicking. They play it during the Cupid shuffle or whatever. Now move your feet. So we want to just call this curve. It's a bunny standing on the back legs. Transparency based on the curve derivative. The derivative of what? The curvature of the curve. So this will be tire, skid, marks, curves. You could do that. We could store that information if we want to, I think. Basically, I was planning to use some of this stuff in the shader already, but we can see how it looks first. Let me just keep that parameter, that attribute around, and we could add it into the shader. And then the last thing I wanted to do, like, you guys were noticing some weirdness as I was animating things. So basically, I didn't set this up to be an animated setup. What I'm going to do is just do a time shift at the end and lock the frame. I think there's some different stuff you could do to stabilize it. We could also just do a carve stop somewhere in here to clip it. In the shader, you might be able to just crossfade based off of the curve view attribute to animate this if you want as well. But I don't want the topology to change, so I'll just do this as hold last frame. And then the index. or up here. I think we can do it with a measure. Stop. Curvature. Maybe we need to go over points. Let's take a look at it with the color. Maybe we can do it. So it might just be like, you can do it all in shops. The derivatives. The slope. I'm terrified of chops. Looks like the tight curve goes white. Yeah, certain areas were going white. But it could video interleave. Yeah, I think there were certain areas I just didn't know if it was needing to be like renormalized or remapped kind of. So I think if we do ramp from attribute curvature, you can kind of do something like this to gamma it and get the different areas that you want. So yeah, we could play around with that. There we go. We could play around with that in the shader. And then I was also planning to use some of these other things. So everyone knows the massive blunder I made when I was rendering the volume with Redshift. Basically, you don't want to render stuff that has this shot material path because it will bake in this shader essentially. So if you just want to make sure to strip that attribute, I just use the attribute rename node, and then under primitive, you can just delete the material. Good to know the curvature works on points with only 2 edges connected. Yeah, I think this new measure SOP, when they updated it, maybe in like the last, might have been 18 or it might have been 17.5. They made it a lot better with curves and stuff like that, but it didn't. You even have some different options we could try around, but I think this one's works okay. But yeah, it's really nice now. It kind of supports everything pretty well. All right, just keep building this out a little bit more. I'm just gonna get rid of this other stuff, so it's just getting too confusing. All right. So you get rid of this material for rendering, and if you want to be really clear, sometimes I'll just do the output node with the render flag on it. And then if we want to move the flags around, you could like visualize the texture there. Blending the tire tracks in the wet map for the ground. I was thinking about that. So my idea was like, if these are already there from the previous day or whatever, I would think you would just manage it through the diffuse. I don't know if it is if you're saying these are from the vehicle that's actually driving, you would probably want to do like a min or something and reduce wetness where these tracks have been. We could play around with some of those ideas. But yeah, I think we're ready to go for a shader. Maybe just keep being obsessive compulsive for a little bit. All right, there it is. Just make a material network. I think I can just do material builder. So this is just going to be a mantra shader for, we're just baking a texture, so it doesn't need to be too fancy or anything like that. 11,000 voxel points in the channel. You're gonna crash your computer. The voxels are gonna fill up your memory. So we could go into the render. Where did it go? Mantra rendering, render view. Chris Arn, hello. I'm doing okay. Having a good start to my weekend. How about you? Steve GH using those voxel points. So yeah, what we'll do here is just assign the material. Always a good idea to do that. And then if we just render, we'll just make the mantra node in our out network. I don't know why, but my mantra is very slow for like the time to first pixel. Might just turn off that. On the mantra, I don't need a lot of these. I don't need any anti-aliasing, like noise aliasing. The pixel samples will give you anti-aliasing, so this will just do it to resolve noise. I think I can turn that off as well. I'll just go to all processors. The Pyro tires is coming along. We're building out a texture generator to improve the asphalt shader. So I'm just setting up a blank file today to bake tire skid marks to use. We're nearly there. So if we just plug our UV attributes into the color, we should see them. And then if I just do a texture, you have to unlock it yourself with displacement. We might add displacement with the look of the asphalt, but I wasn't planning to do these with displacement. I think they should be thin enough that they don't really move too high above the surface. I was planning just to do this with just adding them to the diffuse channel. So if we do this, we get, I'm just gonna work on a smaller area for right now. So if we do this, we get the texture, and I think we don't want them to be occluding each other. You're making the tire marks. So this is like set dressing. This is the idea is that these are already existing on the terrain. We're basically just making a generic tool that can add existing tire marks to any ground. So people brought up tire marks and stuff like that procedurally happening behind the vehicle earlier. So I'm planning to kind of dial it into the composition we were at on Wednesday, I believe. And just because of you can add black splats to the alpha channel where curvature to add more feathering. So basically I'm going to be working kind of from this angle, and I just wanted stuff filling out the rest of the ground. You could add more stuff, but because we have the smoke happening behind the vehicle, I'm not too concerned about adding like procedural things that match his tires perfectly. But you could use this setup to do a similar thing. But for right now, I'm just working more like a environment artist and just making generic tire tracks that are used for the terrain. That would be overkill. So let's see. I think I need to make a constant variable. I think I need to override the opacity to get them to accumulate. And then I think if we're changing this opacity, I think we want to do like a pre-molt to get stuff evened out. And more smoke emitting from the tire track. So the pre-molt, I think, is just leveling out the texture. And then if we want to start breaking stuff up, we have the few different attributes to play around with. I'm just going to get rid of the displacement stuff. So we have, if we look at bind, we have curve U. So this is going from 0 to 1 along the curves. Then we also have the curvature. So this was our derivatives. Basically, the rate at which the curve direction is changing. Just remap this range. So this is what we were extracting with the measure SOP. So we can use these few different areas, I think, to adjust some procedural noises to dirty these textures up a little bit. So this is just unadulterated or accumulated colors. And then if I do the classic anti-alias noise, we can just do it based off of the position we want to transform into object space. By default, this position is like NDC, I think, or camera space. So just to have it basically not tied to the camera, you want it in object space. So I don't know how scuffed we want these to be. Let's just do a fit range. And remap this into more positive numbers. We go from negative 0.35 to 0.35. Some areas are below negative 0.35, but I think it's okay to have that stuff clipping out at black anyways. You want this stuff to be a lot grittier. Sometimes I'll do the exponent. And then if we just keep multiplying, then you can kind of see that. I think we want to do this vector to vector 4, the classic. I'm always doing it. So if we offset the fourth component, or evolve the noise based off of curve U, then where they overlap, it will get slightly different scuff marks or slightly different changes. And then we can also multiply our values based off of this curvature map. So if I plug it in, now you can see we're just getting really bright areas where he's turning the hardest. You could change this, maybe instead of completely going down to 0, it will just be half opacity normally, and then where he's really turning hard, it will be full opacity. I might want to make sure with the alpha channel, we might just want to use this put this into both. Is that a good idea? I think it might be. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. But yeah, now we have a little bit more stuff happening. I think my noise is like a little bit too crunchy. It might just be too high of a frequency. You gonna mix just using RGB channels or alpha or a mix, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess if in Redshift or wherever I'm using the texture, I don't even need to really worry about the alpha channel. I could even save this as a JPEG or something, I guess. Yeah, I think this is good enough for now. This is like a very small part of our final composition that we've done a deep dive into. But I think for this kind of stuff, it's interesting to we're not under the gun for client delivery or anything like that, so it's cool to really dive into how we can create some interesting stuff. Just play around with these numbers a little bit more. I might change this 4th dimension frequency. But I think if I go really high with it, maybe you'll start to see like these noise aligning. Basically, you could stretch the noise or compress it along the curves using this fourth dimension. So I don't know. This doesn't look as maybe they're a bit thick. They might be, yeah. So I'm just trying to get a little closer. We're talking about the 4th dimension. So I'm using the curve view to offset the noise along the fourth component or the 4th dimension of the anti-alias noise. So without that, we have just a world object space offset, and it kind of looks like you can see the noise in areas where it's overlapping, but when you add the 4th dimension or 4th component, then it can overlap with itself, but still have a different noise signal, noise area of the noise. But yeah, I think Steve is right. We need to get a little bit skinnier with the tires. This looks a little bit more professional. We were in the 1990s before with more amateur textures. But yeah, I think we're closer to this reference as well now. So yeah, this is, I think, good enough for right now. I think with this texture, we'll just say that this is tire skid marks version 1. So I'll just put this into a texture directory. And I think I could just do it as a JPEG image. 4K. Yeah, so I was going to adjust the camera. So working like orthographic or as a texture generator, I usually link up these parameters. This is always going to be square typically. And then you can just multiply this. I think 4K should be pretty good enough. I think that's all the settings we need. Should be good. If you want to do this, when you're just rendering a single image, I don't think Mantra will usually give you the dialogue, but if you turn on this Alfred style progress, then in my fancy shell, it might mess up the output, but we should see. Might need to get out of this crazy application. Oh no. Let me get out of here. Uh-oh. Oh no. God damn it. I think it's done anyways. This is one of the reasons I stopped using this. I think you just do exit. I think we're out. I don't know, I still see it at the bottom. Alright, we're out. We're safe. So yeah, we should have this image in our directory now. So basically, just in this... did I mess it up? I think I might have forgotten to make a scenes. That's okay. So just in my stream folder directory. It's fab. It's some improvements. We did end up using the derivative, the curvature stuff in the shader. This warning here, you could get rid of it if you just go to the objects. We don't need a headlight, we don't need it. It's basically just saying, so it's basically just saying that the headlight was added to the scene. All right, so we can take our file, save it again, and I'll upload it to the Discord if you guys want to play around with this. I think we're good with that file. And then we can go back to the main folder, the main scene. Alright, I think it was from this state. There it is. And we could just get rid of this stuff for right now and just go back to the asphalt shader. Just gonna do some desktop organization and get our render view open. Need to go back to the camera we were using. There it is. Turn this stop off for right now. Then I think we just pull in the texture and see what it looks like. So I'll just override everything to take a look. There it is. So we need to change the range of this. Could have saved it out the other way. I don't know, maybe with the JPEG file compression it works better to keep the empty areas black or something. But basically I want to flip this around, and then we're going to just multiply this against the existing diffuse map. So we're starting with this is the diffuse channel going into the shader. We already added the lines to it. So that was like paint. So we just did an additive texture, math add vector. And then I think we can just do vector multiply and plop that in. We didn't get it. They might be too light. So I think maybe we could do some gamma. This will just bias the amount that you want to see the skid marks. And then they look a little bit small. So just with this texture, we can adjust the size. So I'm just looking at these headlights and thinking that the tire is like half the distance. And then just for like composition or whatever, we could make these closer to the camera. Something like that, just so they fill out the frame a little bit more interestingly. And you go back to our Blender. We might want to use them to change the wetness as well, just because they're not super noticeable the way things look. And this is why I was saying like just move. I was trying to move quickly through a lot of the stuff. But yeah, we could modify our wetness. So this is our wetness mask. Let's just see the values that it's going at. So 1 we were saying is wet and 0 is dry. Squeegee tires. And so we will probably just want to multiply it as well. Is it working that way? Multiply before the remap? That might be the case. I was thinking that the it might just be that my my textures are already pretty reflective. Because I think my output here, I visualized it, and my plan or my thought process behind this was to have 1 or bright values be wet and 0 be dry. But I think if I just look back into my textures, I think my dry asphalt is already quite specular. Maybe just change this IOR if we want to make it drier. Because I think we ended up saying like everything is going to be a bit of dampness or humidity to have it make more sense. So that's why it doesn't look completely dry in some areas. Oh, I think this wetness map got the link. For some reason that keeps getting disconnected from my Blender. I don't know if it's like a bug in the wirings, but whenever I switch stuff around, it seems to just pop loose. I don't know, I think I need to do some more. I think I need to do some more work on this wetness shader. It's still not 100% looking good. But yeah, I should be able to do a multiply. So now that's saying it's everywhere is completely dry. If I multiply it, we could try going lower with this to just make them more accentuated. So that's there it is. That's the last hour, 2 hours of work, and there's the result. You kind of see it in a few more areas though. We found him. Yeah, it looks good enough. This is something, I mean, so foggers, there's our tires. This is something, if we go back to the dome light, or like if you change your environment, you start to see them more and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it's worth it. Again, it's like the marks. Again, it's like I was saying earlier, if this was a client delivery or something like that, you could just add them like in Photoshop, or you could use a stock image and kind of feather it or do something. But just because we're doing streams and this is just for learning purposes, we're getting lost in the sauce. I hope you like the sauce, because we're getting in it. We could turn our dome light back off, and maybe, I don't know, maybe with the vehicle and stuff back in, might be a little bit more noticeable. But it's always fun to have everything in CG. I guess it is like where the smoke is reflecting. It's a gem. It's nice. Yeah, so I might. It's good. Yeah, I mean, it's cool as you have free time or downtime, like if you're doing stuff to investigate it more deeply, because then when you do need it at the last minute, you'll have tools or workflows ready to go for it. Sauce is good. Like you say, it's for learning purposes after all. Yeah, I mean, so even with the tire track setup, now we have a little setup that you could use to procedurally like animate a vehicle, or it might need some work for that, but as you go through, just improving and making little dev scenarios and stuff like that. Make the tracks emit flames. It's instead of a wetness map, it's like a gasoline or a kerosene. It's a little flammable fluid it's leaving behind. But yeah, I might end it a little early today. This might be, I was planning to, we might do it a different day, but the next thing on my list was the light sources. So enjoy the weekend. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to get outside and take some pictures. But we could do it just really quickly. So the next thing I want to add, I'll just do it with a grid light. I don't know why this Redshift view gets messed up. Basically just taking another light source and I'll just pop it in right there. Giving some cool zone, some cool lighting. So this is light number 5. There it is. So I was planning to eventually add like a convenience store or something like that. maybe a gas station, something. Use this like a mist or a rain or something like that. These ones are pretty cool. Maybe something more like this temperature, just to add some more interest and stuff like that. Just use that as a matte painting in the background. Yeah, that's an idea as well, just to make an emissive texture. But yeah, I'll just do this with the light color for right now. So just to add some extra interests, maybe this light is invisible. Maybe make it wide. I don't know if we want it super cool, or maybe it's too bright. I mean blue, the blue zone. Maybe make your main overhead light also slight yellow for double cool. Yeah, so yeah, I think once I put this in, then to make it a little more interesting, I think this is my main light. Just, yeah. So we'll make it warm. And just starting to get things looking a little bit more. But you think you were saying the overhead light is blue as well, player 2? Get everything in the ice zone. We could do this one. We get ourselves in the cyber. This is the vaporwave color palette we're in now. Let me see what's I'm gonna move this light around. Unironically looks cool. Yeah, I mean, even the tire tracks, like, it kind of helps. I feel like you can notice just a hint of them in places. It's kind of cool. He's driving into the grid. Billboard, maybe. Like a billboard texture, or adding an actual advertisement billboard. Could be an advertisement billboard. Here it comes. Oh man, what happened to the... I lost my post effects. Need to turn them back on. All of them. This camera didn't have them or something? Sometimes they get lost. Oh. Put your Twitch handle on the billboard. This is the best branding. I need more business sense in my projects. Aesthetics. I don't know what happened. Something happened with my camera settings. I might need to get them from the previous file. I feel like this redshift stuff, when you hold them in and out, turn it on and off, sometimes you lose the settings, like using this global thing. Because they should be getting like stored on the actual camera, the photographic settings. Let me just get them back, because they were dialed in pretty nicely. The Coons logo. I need to hire one of the esports designers to make me one of their fancy gamer logo banners. Dr. Disrespect was doing the Lamborghini for his marketing material. So I'm just going into manual mode, opening up that same file. I'm going to grab the camera 5 from it and put it back in, and then do another render. This should have saved our yeah, this was the better post effects that I had dialed in. They would just call you. So yeah, we're probably going to leave it here today. Kind of, I don't know, it's nice to just have a dedicated stream, kind of more like a single topic or single task we completed today. We got the nice skid mark ideas system tools. Thank you for hanging out, Simply Chenable. Delicious tracks. Fun journey. Yeah, that's all. The journey is what matters the most, for this at least. So yeah, tomorrow, where did it go? Tomorrow we'll be doing Vex scripting. So I'm going to be doing packed transforms and manipulating them using Vex to do procedural animation or kind of destruction effects. Very art directable, very controllable, and it could even be useful for get the lab code. I don't remember where I put it, somewhere. But yeah, even for motion graphics or motion design, some of this stuff could apply. Or I'm going to be talking about it with destruction sensibilities as well. But yeah, this is going to be it. The HIP file will be in the Discord. And hope everyone enjoys the middle of their weekend. I'll see everyone on Sunday. All right, take it easy.